All right, I want to go through some quadratic word problems. I know Delta Math has their own help videos, but sometimes it's just nice hearing my voice and seeing what is expected here. So they do a couple different types of word problems in Delta Math when it comes to parabolas and quadratics. They like to work with questions that deal with profit, so the idea of maximizing a profit, or the idea of gravity, basically like throwing a ball or shooting a rocket or something where you have some sort of projectile that's moving upwards and then coming back down based on gravity. So for this particular one, this is a profit one. I'll show you one of each. So they give you an equation that represents y is the profit and x is the selling price of whatever object you're selling. They call it widgets just to be really generic. And we're going to use this equation to figure out what the maximum profit the company can make to the nearest dollar. So what you want to think about is the idea that anytime you look at the graph of these, you're looking at a parabola. So you have something that is parabolic in nature, and your maximum is going to be the vertex of that parabola. So when you think of your maximum as like an x comma y, that is going to represent your maximum value of your equation. So in this case, if we can find that vertex, we'll be able to find, first of all, what price we should sell it for, that's your x value, and then second of all, what your maximum profit is, that's your y value. So the formula that you're going to use a lot is the opposite of b over 2a. So b is 183, so be negative 183 divided by 2 times negative 4. And here's where it helps to have a calculator. The negatives will cancel. You'll be dividing a negative by a negative. So we're just going to go to our calculator. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to type in 183 divided by 2 times 4, or you could just do divided by 8. So that's going to be the x value of your vertex. To get the y value, there's a couple ways. I know we talked about it on the calculator. The calculator can become kind of a pain when you work with really big numbers. It's really hard to see in the window of your calculator without adjusting it tremendously. So a faster way would just be take this x value and plug it into your equation. So your equation is negative 4 times, and then you're going to put in this 22.875 and square it, and then plus 183 times the same number, 22.875, and then minus 1247. And what you'll have is that will be the y value of your vertex. So your vertex of your parabola, the x value is 22.875. That's going to be x, your selling price. So that would say whatever we're selling these widgets, we should price them at about $22.87 or 88 cents. And then your profit is going to be the y value, the 846. Now it does say to the nearest dollar, so we're just going to type in 846. Submit our answer. And that's all we're looking for. So let me show you a gravity one. Let's see. Let's do a maximum height gravity one. So we have a rocket being launched. We have our equation, negative 16x squared plus 180x plus 63. And we are trying to figure out the maximum height of the rocket to the nearest foot. Now, x is going to be time. So that's going to be the time that you get the parabola to be at the vertex, and then y is going to be the height. So I'm going to use the same formula, the opposite of b over 2a. So I'm going to grab my calculator again. Opposite of b is negative 180. I know the negatives are going to cancel, so I'm just going to type in 180 divided by 2 times 16. Again, I realized that both would be negative, but the negatives would cancel. So we get 5.625. So if it asks for time, that is the time that it takes to get to the peak. So again, if you think about your parabola, I'm going to draw a little picture on my screen here. If you think about your parabola, so 5.625 is how long it takes to get to the vertex. Now, if it asks you how long it takes to get to the ground, it would take twice as long because the vertex is like the middle point. It's the midpoint on its way up, and it's going to have the exact same amount of time on the way down. So this particular question wants to know about height. It doesn't want to know about time, but I just want to kind of mention that. So now to use my calculator, I'm going to type in 5.625 everywhere I see x. So I'm going to have negative 16. And then I do tend to use parentheses. You really don't have to in this case, but just in case, especially if it's a negative number, the parentheses are really important. And then plus 180 times 5.625. And then plus 63. And this is going to be the height. So my height, it does want the nearest tenth, so 1 decimal place. My height would be 569.3. 569.3. I will show you when you do these, and if you want to see an extra example, they will even graph it for you and show you here is that peak, here's that vertex, and that's what we were looking for, is that maximum height. So let me show you one that asks for time hitting the ground, and this will be the last one that we do. So here is one that we have a rocket taking off again. Your X is seconds that it's in the air, and your Y is your height in your feet. So I'm going to find the vertex. Again, same formula. So on my calculator, I'm going to do the opposite of B, so negative 147. Again, I know I'm going to divide by negative, so I'm just going to type in 147 divided by 2 times 16. That is going to give me the time. So with this one, we actually don't need to find the Y value because we're totally focused on time here. So that's how long it's going to take to get to the peak, to get to the vertex. It's going to take that exact same amount of time to get to the ground because the vertex is that midway point on the path of this rocket. So if I take that answer and double it, that is going to tell me when it hits the ground. It wants the nearest hundredth. So that's 2 decimal places. So it wants 9.19. Nope, I typed something in wrong. Oh, I rounded wrong. Let's do another one because I rounded wrong. Well, let's show the question. Where's my calculator? So 2 times that, doubled it. Let me see a similar one. $9.7. I guess I rounded wrong. Let me show you one that's talking about the time at the maximum height, and then I don't have to worry about rounding. So this one wants to know what time it takes to get to the vertex. So we're going to do the opposite of B over 2A. Opposite of B. So negative 239. Again, I probably shouldn't even put the negative, divided by negative 2 times 16. Those negatives aren't necessary. Should have just left them positive. So 7.468. That is the time that it takes to get to the peak. So we're going to write 7.47. 7.47. And again, it will show me my peak right there. And my time that it takes to get here, this one you can actually see better. If you just double that, that will give you the time that it takes to get to the ground. So I don't know why that last one was a little bit off, but we were close. So that tells you how you answer all of those questions. You're using that opposite of B over 2A a ton, and then you're using your calculator to help finish it. So that is a quick rundown on word problems with quadratics.